This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Diane Sawyer.
Good evening. There's hardly any fear greater than the fear of losing your job, but it's a fear more Americans are having to face. The unemployment rate, which has been pushing up for more than a year, rose another 0.2% last month. It's now at 7.3%, the highest in more than 6 years. There's been a lot of talk recently about whether the economy is starting to turn around. Today's figures make it clear that at least when it comes to jobs, the answer is not yet. Here's our economics editor, Stephen Ogg.
The figures show 9.2 million Americans out of work last month, the largest number in more than 8 years.
The lines get deeper. They get 10 to 50 deep, 4 wide, and it just doesn't seem to be any let up.
The Democratic chairman of the Congressional Joint Economic Committee was quick to seize on the news.
Today's figures are very grim. They obviously refute those who have been asserting that this recession has come to an end.
While many employers continue to lay off workers, some have begun to hire. So 164,000 new jobs were added to the economy last month. The Bush administration made the most of that news.
There is the biggest increase in new jobs in over a year. That you would say, well, that's plus. That's a leading indicator. That's what's starting to come out there.
Very well.
Retailing had the biggest gain in new jobs, but large growth also came in the service industries, especially business services and healthcare.
You must press control L.
In Dade County, Florida, they're trying to retrain the unemployed so they can find jobs in those growing industries. Thousands of these people used to work for Eastern Airlines and Pan Am before they went out of business. Now they're being retrained in healthcare and computers.
I haven't studied in about 20 years. So, to reprogram yourself again to study is not easy at all.
These people are so motivated and so committed that they're giving the younger student a run for the money.
Well, no caps, no caps.
The retraining can take anywhere from 3 months to 4 years. The trouble is not many places offer the kind of long-term retraining that Dade County does. What's more, right now, no matter what you're training, there are not many jobs available. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, New York.
The people of Norwood, Ohio know all about retraining and adapting to new circumstances. 4 years ago, Norwood's largest employer, General Motors, moved out. ABC's Bob Jameson reports on what's happened since then in Norwood.
This vacant lot is the most bitter reminder of General Motors' 63 years in Norwood. The assembly plant employed 4,300 people. 90% of them lived outside Norwood, but they and GM paid more than $5 million a year in taxes to the city. So when the plant closed, Norwood had to cut services, including fire and police, and raise taxes. Schools lost 20% of their funding and had to cut staff and eliminate programs. Officials even closed this elementary school, but that has not been enough.
We're looking at least 2 to 3 years of pretty difficult times. We're going to be about $2 million in the red at the end of the 92 school year.
30 teachers will soon be fired, and some elective high school subjects, including a foreign language, will be dropped.
While Norwood schools will feel the plant's loss for years, most of the former workers have already found jobs. Many of those who were not transferred to other factories have now been absorbed by this region's economy.
While Norwood will not regain their lost taxes, the fact that most GM workers lived elsewhere meant the closing did little damage to the local economy. There was no panic selling of homes, so property values have not fallen. Local merchants like butcher Brad Brett, who has opened a new meat market, say there is life after GM.
Sure there is. Sure there is. GM's not the end of the world.
Optimism in Norwood is rising with a new office and retail complex on part of the old GM site. It has already brought more than 1,000 jobs, and officials say Norwood may ultimately be better off without GM.
We had all our eggs in one basket, and now we're spreading it out. In the future, if any one or two businesses go out, we're not going to be hurt nearly as bad as when a plant with 4,300 employees suddenly, boom, cuts out.
Even with the new construction on the old GM lot, Norwood will not fully rebuild its tax base. But the city's fortunes will no longer rise and fall with those of General Motors. Bob Jameson, ABC News, Norwood, Ohio.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost nearly 20 points to close at 32.21. The trading was heavy. That brought the loss for the week to 46 points. In a moment, presidential politics. Tempers getting short on Mr. Bush's staff. South Africa's far-right wing threatens violence to preserve white supremacy. And our person of the week, teaching by example.